Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another video on the NBA the week that was. So yesterday, if you saw my video, I talked about the Hawks and how they really proved themselves in their 4-3 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. I didn't really talk about how the Philadelphia 76ers lost, but more about the Hawks won. Reasons including Trae Young, the belief this team has, and the way the role players stepped up when it mattered the most. Today, I'm going to be previewing the Hawks and Bucks series, which is going to be a great series, and it's going to be another big test for the Hawks, and I'll be talking about reasons I believe the Hawks could win, reasons I believe the Bucks could win, and eventually make my final prediction for this series. Let's get right into it. First, I'll be talking about my underdogs, the Atlanta Hawks, and why I believe there could be a variety of reasons that the Hawks could win this series. Firstly, I really think that the Hawks have the defensive ability to slow down the Bucks. There's no way to stop the Bucks, there's no way to really stop Giannis. But if you can slow them down enough and use your offensive talent to overpower them, I think there's a good shot the Hawks would win this series. The most effective players for the Bucks this postseason have been Giannis and Chris Middleton. In the Nets series, Jrue Holiday was pretty much a no-show except Game 7 where he hit a few clutch shots in the fourth quarter after going like 2 for 18 to start the game. But otherwise, their offense has been centered around the Giannis and Chris Middleton pick and roll. Even without DeAndre Hunter, I really think we have the personnel to stop this from being as successful as it has been throughout the postseason and also the regular season. I believe that Clint Capella is a good defender for Giannis. You might think Capella's too slow, but if we can force Giannis to take threes or mid-range jump shots, it's a win for us on a defensive possession. I was watching a Bucks game with my dad, and I was like, if Giannis shoots a three, that's a win for you defensively, because Giannis is obviously probably the most dangerous player around the rim with his just athleticism and his physical ability to get to the rim from wherever. But Capella is a very good shot blocker. I think he was second leading in blocks this year, and that's because he has great timing. He has the ability to match up physically. Even though he struggled against Embiid at some points last year against the 76ers, I really think he'll be able to match up well against Giannis and stop him in the paint. If you want to throw a different defender at him, John Collins did a good job against Tobias Harris. And while Tobias Harris and Giannis are different players, I believe Collins has he obviously is not a plus defender, but he has the ability to at least slow down Giannis, and that's all the Hawks want. If you can keep Giannis to 20 points, Middleton around 15 and 20, that could be very productive for the Hawks, because Milwaukee, while it seems like they're a very deep team, they aren't as deep as the Hawks. They don't have the depth that the Hawks possess, so the Hawks should overpower them in that sense, even without their best wing defender in DeAndre Hunter. And that brings me to the two X factors for the Hawks that could either tank the series for the Hawks or win the series for the Hawks. That's Onyeka Okongwu and Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish has been out since February with Achilles soreness, hasn't played under Nate McMillan, but he's been medically cleared by the staff for games 5, 6, and 7 for the 76ers series. But obviously you don't want to throw in a young guy in such pivotal games and put him in, and he could obviously be a negative, and he hadn't been the best in the regular season. However, his defensive ability has shown throughout his young career, and he could be very pivotal to stopping the Bucks if he indeed plays. It's very unlikely, but if he does, I really want Nick McMillan to give him at least 10 to 15 minutes in games 1 and 2. See how he's going. If he has the ability to hit a few good shots, I mean, Cam Reddish for me is all about the Paul George potential. I said it in my last video. I'm saying it again. I will be making a video about Cam Reddish. But he has the potential to be a great two-way player in this league. And he could really build on it in this postseason by defending well against guys like Jrue Holiday or Chris Middleton. Now, Onyeka Okongwu. Okongwu had a great series against the 76ers. No one thought he would be playing meaningful minutes in a big postseason series. However, there he was, backing up Capella whenever we needed him to, making Dwight Howard essentially play for the Hawks with how bad he made Howard play, making Howard miss shots, get these frustration offensive fouls, because Onyeka plays with so much energy. He brings so much energy off the bench, which is so essential for the Hawks. But where I see him being a big positive in this series, this is a big if and a big desire for me, and it could very much be a dream. But Onyeka has the physical tools of a guy like Bam Adebayo. He's not as strong yet, he's not as agile, but he can shape up to be a guy like Bam. And Bam's been the guy. Obviously, he didn't do it this year, but we saw last year when the Heat beat the Bucks in 5 games that Bam Adebayo can be the guy to stop Giannis. So if Onyeka in his 10 minutes, he plays when Giannis is playing, and he can stop Giannis, because he did well against Embiid in Game 7. I really liked Okongwu's defensive activity. That could be a big turning factor for the Hawks if Onyeka Okongwu can step up. Now, finally, it's about the backcourt for the Hawks. In the one game we beat the Bucks in the regular season 120-109, our team had no Trae Young, no DeAndre Hunter, while the Bucks were full strength, including DiVincenzo, who's out for the rest of the playoffs for them. We beat them. Lou Williams had a great fourth quarter like he did in Game 5 against the 76ers, but also Bogdanovic had 32 points, hit 6 threes, and was just an absolute menace offensively, and the Bucks had no answers for him. If Bogdanovic, his knee hopefully holds up and he's good to go like 100% for Game 1, which is tomorrow, another big dream for me if Bogdanovic can go back to his April form and just absolutely kill the Bucks. But if Trae Young and Bogdanovic can get there both like 20-25 points each, it could be so pivotal for the Hawks. Our offense runs through our backcourt. They're both our playmakers. They're both our distributors. Yes, Kevin Huerter had a great Game 7, but he's obviously our third or fourth option on offense. It all runs through Trae and Bogdanovic, and especially Trae. Trae needs to have another monster series, and it's going to be much more tough against the very astute Milwaukee defense with guys like Jrue Holiday, Giannis, obviously a great defender, Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, all these energy guys, all these great defenders. It's going to be a tough series for Trae, but if he can continue going on this ascent as one of the best players in the NBA, this could be a very good series for the Hawks. Now let me get into the Bucks. Now let's talk about the favorites of this series, the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to make my prediction. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this series in 6 or 7 games. And this is primarily because they're just more ready for this than the Hawks were. Now, the same argument was used for the 76ers and why they would beat the Hawks, and we saw what happened there. But the Milwaukee Bucks match up better against the Hawks too. They have a much better defense. They're arguably the best defense in the league with, as I talked about, impact guys such as Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez is a great shot blocker. They're going to miss DiVincenzo in this series with his perimeter defense abilities. However, Jrue Holiday matches up much better with Trae Young than Ben Simmons did. Even though Ben Simmons is still, that's the only thing he's good. He's reasonably good at defense. He still was too slow to keep up with Trae. Jrue Holiday is strong, and he has the quickness to keep up with Trae because he's obviously like 6'5". He's not like 6'10" like Ben Simmons was. And then Giannis is going to have the ability to stop John Collins really well, and Brook Lopez is going to give King Capella a tough time. And overall, they're just a very well-run team in the sense that they know what they're doing on offense. They know what they're doing on defense really well, and they're gonna overwhelm the Hawks, I feel. I mean, the Hawks have looked like the most fearless team in the NBA for since March 1st when we were 14-20, but Giannis, I think he's going to have a great series, especially with DeAndre Hunter out. He's going to be a big loss in this series he could have guarded Giannis and Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, and that value is going to be we're just going to miss that so much. John Collins and Clint Capella are going to try their best, but I think Giannis is going to have a big series. Again, I think Milwaukee's defense is going to carry them in this series. The Hawks with ailing Bogdanovic, no Hunter, we're going to be extremely reliant on Trae, and Kevin Huerter can't drop 27 points. As much as we want him to, he can't drop 27 points every night. I mean, if he proves me wrong, I will literally buy a Kevin Huerter jersey. But I really think it's going to be a big pressure on Trae to perform, and the defense that Milwaukee has is really going to take them far in the series and give Giannis his finals berth that he's been craving for so long, ever since they formed this court. They gave up 5 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday. They're going all in. I think this is the year the Milwaukee Bucks make the NBA Finals in 6 or 7 games. Again, this is my analyst self speaking. My heart is saying the Hawks are going to win this series in 6 or 7 games, but in all actuality, my prediction is that the Milwaukee Bucks win this series in 6 or 7 games. One last thing I wanted to mention for both teams is the comparison of their depth. So the Hawks are a much more deep team than the Milwaukee Bucks, even though you would expect the Bucks to be much more deeper. I think the Hawks, one advantage that they do have is their depth. I briefly spoke about this, but I just wanted to reiterate that point because they have almost 6 or 7 guys that can create their own shot, and Milwaukee's really reliant on Giannis and Chris, as I said when talking about the Hawks and their advantages going into the series. But ultimately, a big advantage for the Hawks in this series is going to be their depth. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode of the NBA the week that was. Let me know what you think about this series. Do you think the Hawks are going to win? Do you agree with me and think the Bucks are going to win? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be very happy to discuss that with you. I'll catch you guys on my next episode here on the NBA the week that was. See ya.